What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be looking at how we can deploy a FastAPI API onto Heroku. So we'll be looking at how we can do it with Heroku. It would be there'd be a bit more like steps involved if you were to do it on AWS, but I thought to keep it simple, let's focus on Heroku. And hopefully this gives you an idea of how to work with Heroku if you're unfamiliar with it. But yeah, if you don't know what Heroku is a platform as a service which really allows us to deploy our applications with a lot of ease. It does it handles all the complexities for us, or most of the complexities. I think it's built on top of AWS anyway. So if you're looking for something that's a bit more straightforward and you don't require the kind of functionality that comes with AWS or the features that come with AWS, I definitely recommend Heroku. I have used it a lot for my own kind of private or personal projects. It's a kind of go-to for me, as deployment doesn't really take that long. But to kind of mention, in this tutorial, we'll be looking at an example that's already ready-made. So I've built this, and you may also recognize it if you followed any of my previous videos. It is the FastAPI, or to kind of look at, this is the live version of the API, where we can get the events of a day, or the historical events of a month, the historical events of a day, the events that occurred today, and also just all the events in general. And this is the home page. And what I've done is there are a few changes that I've made for the API, and this will all be in a repo and I'll put the description in the link below. But one thing I want to point out is the index page will redirect us to redoc, which is this fancy layout that you see here. It comes built in with FastAPI. So yeah, I didn't design any of this. This just comes built in. And what redoc essentially is it creates documentation for us on the fly. So we just have to deal with writing code, and redoc will look at our code and then create a nice documentation, as you can see here. But yeah, this is what it will look like if you're going to follow along. If not, I hope this video is kind of understandable enough so that you can go ahead and just apply this to your projects. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So one of the requirements for this video is to install Heroku. So go to Heroku, install. You need the Heroku CLI. So the installation is fairly simple. With macOS, it's just this command, brew tap Heroku /brew and & brew install Heroku. Windows, you have the 32-bit and 64-bit Windows installer, and for Ubuntu it's just this as well. And in my experience, the installing Heroku has been, or I've done it on all three, and yeah, it's very simple, it's very straightforward. There's not much you have to deal with. Just follow the installations and Heroku will be up and running. To check that Heroku is installed, you can always just type in Heroku. And if you see these commands, then yeah, everything is good. But yeah, let's get started. So yeah, as I said, the requirement for this video is to have Heroku installed, as that will be our way to deploy our apps onto Heroku. But yeah, so feel free to just clone this repo and follow along. But other than that, I don't want to chatter on for too much. Let's get started with our deployment. So the first thing we want to do is we want to be in the source folder. So the folder where our main.py lives, so our API, and that's this folder here, main.py. And in this case, mine is in the source folder, and in my command line, that's where I am, source. So, and yeah, I've activated my virtual environment is also activated, or is also active. But yeah, we want to be in our main.py file, as this is where we'll be setting up our Git for our Git repo for Heroku. So to begin with, let's create our requirements.txt file. And this will basically be a file of all the dependencies that we're using in our Python project. So FastAPI, Starlet, UV icon, all that, and you'll see that in a second. So it's pip freeze requirements.txt, and you'll see this pop up here in the kind of folder viewer, and you'll see all, like in requirements.txt, you'll see all these kind of dependencies. So for example, the stuff that comes with FastAPI anyway, so like GraphQL, which we haven't made use of, but like requests, Starlet, UV icon, so these are just our dependencies, and this is what will tell Heroku this is what you need to install. So Heroku will look at requirements.txt and say, oh, okay, these are the installations that you need. I'll install them for you. But yeah, the command for that is just pip freeze and then the greater than sign requirements.txt. And the next thing we want to do is also create our runtime.txt, and we'll just do touch runtime.txt. And you'll see this empty txt file, and this is where we'll specify our Python version. So I'll just put the latest version. I think this is the latest version, 3.9.4. So you have to include the major update, the minor update, and the patch. And remember, this is all case sensitive, and I think white space sensitive as well. So just keep it all in one line and make sure there's no white space, or this is all lowercase. So yeah, that's our runtime. So what runtime will do, or what Heroku will do, is look at our runtime.txt and say, oh, okay, we're going to be using Python 3.9.4 in this case. I think now Heroku as well like detects it automatically, or will install like a cached version of Python. But if you don't want your Python version to update until you say so, then I would definitely like specify this or the version of Python. That way nothing leaves your control. But yeah, that's the two txt files that we need for Heroku. The next thing is to initialize our Git repo. So as we're still in the source folder, we could do git init, get this like hint. But now you've just seen like all this within our Explorer, like everything highlight green. And just clear that. And the other thing we want to add is a gitignore, and yeah, oops, touch git.gitignore, and you'll see the gitignore file showing up here as well. And the reason we want that is because we want to ignore certain files. We don't want to send or deploy files such as, like, for example, our PyCache. If you had a .env file in there for environment variables, you don't want to deploy that either. So in our case, we don't want this PyCache. But what I usually like to do is, if you go into the into your browser and just do a quick Google, which is Python gitignore. So this here, like this link here that I clicked by GitHub, is the gitignore file for Python. Just copy the entire thing and paste it within gitignore. But as you can see, like if I do a command F __ PyCache, so this folder is ignored. We don't want to deploy this. And you can see here now that it's no longer highlighted in green. It's just been grayed out. And that's because Git is now ignoring gitignore. Git is ignoring the dunder PyCache file or folder. But yeah, so have that in there as well. And we can now start with logging into Heroku. So if you haven't, like I said in the beginning, if you haven't installed Heroku, then do that, because now we would be creating our Heroku app. Just gonna clear all this. And yeah, so to do that, we need to enter Heroku and then log in. Press any key to open up the browser, or to log in, or Q to exit. I'm just going to hit enter. And this will now redirect me to the browser and to log in to Heroku. And like I've already automatically logged in. Like you may see like enter your email password, and then you'll see this message saying you can close this page and return to your CLI. It should now be logged in. So you can see here now that it said logged in as iamrithmic@gmail.com. So that's the account I'm using. And finally, we can just clear that. And once you've logged in, you just want to enter the command Heroku create, like so. And there, what happens is it basically just creates an app. In our case, it's called Radiant-Reaches-26640. You will have a different name. These are unique. So yeah, expect a different name. And yeah, don't be worried if your name is completely different to mine. But yeah, like this is the app name. And if we go back now, so if you're logged into Heroku, what you can do is go back to the like into your personal app. So go into the web browser and you'll see, so in my case, Radiant-Reaches has been created. And if you click on that, it doesn't really show anything else, but yeah, initial release and this enable logplex, I don't know what that is, but yeah, like this is this basically says now like our app has been created, or whatever your app's called. So now we can go ahead and set everything up so we can just deploy this API. And the first thing that we want to do is create a Procfile. So I'm going to do touch, or let me just clear all this. And I'll explain what a Procfile is in a second. So as we're still in the source directory, we can type in touch Procfile, like so. And you will see here this Procfile that's been created. And no, we don't want to ignore this. Like this is something that we want to tell Heroku. And this is just basically going to be a command on how to run our application. So it'll be quite similar to like running it. If you remember, like with FastAPI, to run it locally, it's UV icon and then main :reload app and then -- reload. So it'll be something similar to that. And here we say web, specify that it's a web app, UV icon main : app -- host, and set that equal to port with 0000 and host, and then port equals $, curly brackets, within those curly brackets port, like so, and then -5000. So yeah, that's basically what that's what you need to enter within the Procfile. So web : space UV icon space main : app space -- host. Yeah, I'm not going to read the entire thing out. Hopefully that's clear. But yeah, make sure it's written like this, as this is kind of like our instruction to tell Heroku, this is how I want you to run our app. So yeah, that's basically the Procfile. And now all we have to do is kind of associate our Git repo to Heroku. So we need to attach the two, because right now we've just initialized Git and we've created a gitignore, but we don't know where we're sending it. And we want to send it to Heroku. So in order to do that, we just need to type in Heroku git :remote -a, and then the name of our app. So if you remember our app, or the name of our app, where is it? Maybe if I go back here. Yeah, never mind. I'm going to go back to the browser. So it's this here. So we can just copy like the name from the kind of nav bar here. And mine is Radiant-Reaches. So just copy that, paste that in. So you want to have Heroku git :remote -app, and then the name of your app, hit enter. And you'll see this message here. If everything's worked out, you'll see this set git remote Heroku to, and then the link to our, or the URL to our Git repo So now like we have our code associated with the Git repo for Heroku. And sorry if I'm repeating a lot of words. I just want to make this as clear as possible. So finally, we can add all our changes. So we can do git status to see all the changes that we need to add. So we can do git add and then a period. Let's clear that. And then finally, we can say git, or not finally, but we can commit our message saying first deploy. And that's committed everything. And then we just need to type in git push Heroku and then master. Yours may be master, it might be main. I think now it's common to have it called main. So if master doesn't work out, then type main in instead. I don't think I've updated my Heroku, so it still shows up as master. So just hit enter on that. And you will see the entire thing being built. So we can like break this down a little bit as it's building. So yeah, it's detected that we're using a Python app, or where we built, or it will be deploying a Python app. So it says Python app detected. It's using the version that we specified in our runtime file in our runtime.txt. So 3.94 as it states here. And then like in our requirements.txt is downloading everything that we've specified. So when we did the whole pip freeze at the beginning, it's now looking at all of this and just making all the installations. And then hopefully, if everything's worked out smoothly, yep, so it's compressing it and now it's just launching it. Should give it a second. And there we go. Cool. We have now like hopefully you didn't get any errors. If you did, I would like check back on your Procfile, on your requirements.txt, and also your runtime to make sure all of that has been done properly. And yeah, prior to this, I hope like hopefully you didn't get any Git errors. If not, then I definitely recommend yeah, if your setup didn't work and you followed it all the way through anyway, then yeah, just quick Googling. And also as a reminder, like everything has been done within source, this source folder. So where our main.py app is. And that should be it. So we can now, if we go back to our browser, just hit refresh. Actually, we didn't need to. Like we've seen here, like and yeah, don't judge me on the time I'm awake. But yeah, here at 1:23 a.m., we just deployed the new version. So here in this like top right-ish of the nav bar, we can click open app. And there we have it. We have the docs for our API, and yeah, like it should be up and running now. So that basically kind of concludes this video, but there's just one thing I want to cover, and that is the cross-origin response. I think that's the name of it. I always forget like what it means. Yeah, the cross-origin resource sharing, or CORS, and how to kind of like a basic use of that within FastAPI. So right now, when it comes to our API, we are not, we've allowed any website access to it. So we've said, it doesn't matter if it's like facebook.com, google.com, reddit.com, rithmic.com, whatever. All of these websites are allowed to access our API. And this may not be the case, or the kind of thing that you want. Let's say you've got a front-end API, a front-end application deployed on Netlify. Let's say it's React.js or Vue.js, whatever, and you want to make use of the API that you've built, or this API, and you only want that website to have access to that API, then you want to specify that. So right now it's open to everyone, and let's say you want to kind of close it off to like to a certain domain. So in order to do that, we need to just make some imports. So import fastapi.middleware. cause as underscore cause. And then here we can say the origins. So we can create a list, and the origins will be all the websites or domains you want your API to have access to. So the first one that you want is the local host, because in case you're testing, so you also want to set that to, or we can just do 127 and then just port 8000. So you may want to include that as well. And then also the website that you want like access to. So for example, you might want, let's say this. So HTTPS reddit.com Python, that was just one thing that was open. So you set that, or it could be your own website. So you could also add like HTTPS / www dot like example.com, something like that. So yeah, so these three, anything with these three like has access to your endpoint or your API. And then to kind of like register it with the rest of the app, the thing that you want to do is just say app.add underscore middleware. And then within here, you want to first say cause, so underscore cause.middleware. And then we want to say allow origins to equal origins. And then we can say allow credentials. So credentials, I think that's to do with like authentication, but we can set that to true. Allow methods, and methods are basically HTTP methods. So we can put in a wildcard. So a wildcard will basically say all HTTP methods are allowed. And by HTTP methods, I mean get, post, delete, get, put, etc. So with this kind of asterisk is a wildcard, which basically says all kind of methods or HTTP requests are allowed. But in our case, it would be nice to just have get, because that's the only thing that we can do. We can just get our events. So you can see here in our like docs, everything is green. So it's saying get. So it might be nice just to have that in there as an extra layer of protection. And the other thing we could add is the headers. So allow underscore headers. And we can just put an asterisk here. And headers is basically like the kind of is like, this will just be a list. If you were to fill this out, it'd just be a list of headers that can be supported for cross-origin requests. It defaults to, so if we didn't have this, it'd just default to an empty array. With the asterisk, we're saying we're allowing all headers, and by headers I mean like except language, content language, and content type. So content type could be like JSON, something like that. So that's where it allows us to kind of mess around with this. But because we have like a very simple API, we don't really need to configure a lot of this. You may want to configure the origins. So let's say you've created like a front end app, and you only want that front end to have access to this API. Then within origins, just kind of like throw that in. But other than that, that really concludes this video. We've gone ahead and deployed like a very simple API to Heroku. And if you were looking at how to do this for your own projects, then hopefully this has done that. Of course, we didn't look at how to use a database with this. That I do plan for another video. This is more just the basics of it, of how to get this up and running, and maybe like allows you to kind of look at how you could do that with a database. There would be some like extra configuration that you need to do. So by default, Heroku has like a Postgres database. So you'd want to get the password, the name of that, and just connect it up based on that. But yeah, if you want to wait for that, I'm definitely doing a video on that at some point. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it. And if you are looking for like more content on this, then please hit that like button and also that subscribe button. And if you want to get in contact with me, feel free to drop an email, which you probably saw in the video, and it's also my about section. Or I would recommend messaging me or joining my Discord server, which is in the description below. And yeah, just pop in to say hello, or if there's any content that you want me to like work on at some point, then yeah, also I'm open to all ideas, so feel free. It doesn't have to just be Python. I am looking into other languages like Rust, Golang, all that, so, and even some front end JS stuff. But yeah, other than that, stay healthy, stay safe, and I hope to see you in my future videos.